I know I'm late on this, but after 3 weeks into the season, it's clear who won the Khalil Mack trade. After Mack held out of training camp to sign a new deal, the Raiders shipped him to the Chicago Bears for a 2019 and 2020 first and 6th round pick and 2019 and 2020 first and 3rd round pick. The Raiders also gave up a 2020 2nd round pick. Now, if you're trading away a top 5 defensive player in the NFL, you shouldn't be including no draft picks, but I understand you gotta make the trade work somehow. It's unfortunate they couldn't work out a deal with Mack, but you just have to find a way to pay a franchise player. But it's a business. If you couldn't get a deal done now, it's best to trade him now opposed to letting him walk away in free agency for nothing. In 3 games, Mack has racked up 13 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles and an interception, and 1 touchdown, and has single-handedly outplayed the Raiders defense. Without the pressure Khalil Mack brings in 3 games, the Raiders as a team have less of that of what Mack has done by himself. When you got Case Keenum picking apart the defense on game-winning drives and blowing 14 points in the 4th quarter against Miami, you should have instant regret. But in just 3 games, Mack, a former Defensive Player of the Year who's just now entering his prime, has shown that he's a generational talent. Having a defensive force like Mack would not only help the Raiders defense, but it would take some of the pressure off of the offense as well. Unless the Raiders manage to find an equal or even better talent with one of those picks that they received from the Bears, the decision to let Mack go will likely continue to hang over the franchise in the upcoming years. On the other hand, the Bears have a nice defense on the rise. Now, if I'm going to talk about Khalil Mack, I gotta include Jon Gruden. The Raiders gave him a 10-year contract, the longest coaching deal in NFL history, worth $100 million, which is just ridiculous. And he must be the most appealing coach in NFL history as well, because even in Tampa Bay, when he was acquired from the Raiders in 2003, in which giving up 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks alongside with $8 million for him, but he hasn't coached in a decade, and the Raiders think that he can get them back to the glory days. He won 22 and 26 over his last 3 seasons, which had came about a decade ago with the Buccaneers. Jon Gruden has been looked at as if he is amongst the better coaches of the NFL just because he won a Super Bowl. There are many people who deserve credit for the Super Bowl, Tony Dungy obviously. He did the same thing Steve Kerr did with the Warriors. Get him over the hump. If they just would have had the same coach, they were most likely going to get the same result. With a winning percentage of 54%, Jon Gruden is as average as you can get. He is basically Marvin Lewis with the Super Bowl ring, and having that he's been out the league for over 10 years, he is going to struggle. Players like Khalil Mack aren't supposed to be traded. This may be a rebuilding process. The Raiders have some young talent, but Amari Cooper is inconsistent and Derek Carr isn't off to a good start, but he has shown what he can offer after finishing 3rd in MVP voting in 2016. And the Raiders will use the multitude of draft picks they are receiving from the Bears to attempt to be a contender. Seeing realistically, they won't be a threat until around 2020 or 2021 when they move to Las Vegas and develop their talent.
You know, when you can run the ball like they ran it in the second half, it's very hard to rush the passer. Obviously, we didn't get to Goff enough, and we didn't get to Gurley enough. And we'll take a good look at the reasons why we didn't.
They say you punch up in the booth, boy, I do that.